After winning a high school state championship as a senior, I had to make a college decision. Ohio State's Ryan Day, Alabama's Nick Saban, and LSU's Brian Kelly all wanted me. Those three schools would give me my best chance to make the NFL as a 5'5" wide receiver, and in the end, I decided to commit to Alabama. But I immediately realized I would have to fight to see the field. I wasn't even a top 6 wide receiver on the depth chart, so I would have to impress Nick Saban at practice. And it was going to take a long time to make an impression on the GOAT. I showed off my hands holding onto this ball despite getting absolutely railed, but unfortunately I wasn't able to do enough in practice this week to move up the depth chart. So I had to watch our week 1 game against Virginia Tech from the sidelines. Even with a 31-point lead, Nick Saban didn't put me in and I didn't get to play a single snap. So for Nick Saban to give me a chance, I would have to practice perfectly, and it would not be easy with it pouring down hard in Tuscaloosa. It made it so much harder to get a good grip on the ball, and if I continued to struggle to catch, I'm not sure I would ever see the field. But about midway through practice, I made my biggest play yet, taking it all the way down to the 6-yard line. However, the other plays that I had to run continued to cancel out anything good that I did, and I underestimated how hard it would be to get playing time at Alabama. We had a big game at College Station, and once again, Nick Saban made me watch from the sidelines, but at least we won the game, and now I had to go show out during our weekly practice. I was honestly making so many catches this time. Despite being 5'5" and 160 pounds, I was also shedding tackles and showing my abilities after the catch. I felt like this was my breakout practice that would really impress Nick Saban, and this was one of my nastiest routes yet. I created so much separation, but I just wasn't fast enough to make it into the end zone before getting caught. On this play, I put not one, but 2 defenders into a complete spin cycle, and later on I was wide open up the seam, but Bryce Young completely missed me. Even with that inaccurate throw, I gained a lot of the coach's trust, and if I had a good practice this week, Nick Saban promised me I'd move up the depth chart. But I was dropping catches that I really should have held on to, so I would have to finish practice by making a great impression on the coaching staff. And after I used my quick little legs to outrun the practice team defense, I was going to earn my spot higher up on the depth chart. But I'd have to wait a week to challenge for that. Until then, I'd watch my team take down Colorado State at home. But after that game, I was in a position battle to move up the depth chart as a 5'5" wide receiver at Alabama. Unfortunately, with only a few reps left, it was not looking good for me, and after I wasn't able to hold on to the ball while getting obliterated at the same time, I knew I had failed to impress Nick Saban. So of course, it was now our 4th game, and I still hadn't stepped onto the field once, but at least I was going to most likely have a free ride to a national championship. I had another opportunity to show off in front of Nick Saban and move up the depth chart the following week, but I felt like Bryce Young was really holding me back with missed throws like this. However, nobody expected me at 5'5" to go up and win this jump ball, come down with it, and go for another few yards. That play alone made everybody in our indoor facility turn around and pay attention to me, and my confidence levels were through the roof. Then I almost mossed the corner again, but in the end I wasn't able to hold on to the ball, so on the next practice play I went out and I caught this short catch. And I was so close to winning the position battle, but then I couldn't get open on the last play of practice, and once again I failed to move up the depth chart. I was sick, having to watch my team from the sideline for another week without getting in, and the worst part was it was a cold and rainy day, so all I wanted to do was go home. Once again I was in a position battle, and they say the 3rd time's the charm, so we'll see if that's actually true in today's practice. With only a few reps left, I could tell that this one was going to come down to the wire, and then I did it. After weeks and weeks of work, it would all finally pay off. I took this slant to the house, and that was all I needed to win, and it felt so good. Well, that was until Nick Saban still didn't put me in for a single snap, so I was seriously considering transferring at the end of the season to somewhere else. I was tired of watching games from the sideline without getting in, and we were struggling to beat Arkansas in overtime. In the end, we lost our first game, but we bounced back the next week against Tennessee. And if I was ever going to earn any playing time, I would need to get in another position battle. And that's exactly what I was able to do. It was me versus Ja'Cory Brooks battling it out for the next spot up on the depth chart. And I was getting much better throughout the year at creating loads of separation. But I couldn't afford to drop another pass like I did on this one. And I don't know why I struggled to hold on to it sometimes, and other times I would never let it go. But in the end, as long as I did enough to look better to Coach Saban than Ja'Cory Brooks, I'd be good. I think this Moss catch midway through our competition surprised everybody since I was 5'5", and that was all I needed to do to win. But once again, the whole time against LSU, all I did was watch us win from the sideline. And that's when I realized at Alabama, you have to fight forever to get playing time. So now, my goal was to get onto the field before before the end of the season, and I was determined to actually make it happen. Coach Saban was starting to get me more involved in practice by having me run jet sweeps, and I felt like I could start to step into a gadget role for the Crimson Tide this way. I earned another position battle the following week, and we went out and won on the road. So now it was time for me to go out and continue to work my way up the depth chart, and I felt like I was playing well, continuing to find the open space on defense and holding on to it. Then I did almost just enough to earn Nick Saban's trust by taking this pass 35 yards easily all the way to the end zone. I still needed one more catch though, and I was able to get it on the last play, which moved me up the totem pole. I felt like I could finally have my chance to get into the game against an FCS school, but first, I'm going to give away a jersey to one of you all. Since everybody's been subscribing to the channel recently, I've partnered with Underdog Fantasy to give away a jersey of your choice. Anybody that signs up for Underdog uses code Bordeaux and makes a deposit before the end of October will be entered into the giveaway. If you've already used my code in the past, you'll be entered as well. Underdog lets you make player pick'ems on if you think a player will go higher or lower than a certain stat like touchdowns or passing yards, and if you're correct, you win money. Again, code Bordeaux will enter you into the jersey giveaway, and Underdog is doubling all of your all's first deposits. I'll be announcing the winner on my Instagram at the beginning of November, so good luck boys and enjoy the rest of my season. But by the third quarter, we were up 42, and Nick Saban still hadn't put the backups in. And by the time they were finally in, I still didn't get to go out onto the field. But we were now sitting at the top of our division in the SEC, and we still might make the national championship game. I wanted to be out on the field when we were playing for trophies, and I was getting closer and closer to having that opportunity. I watched some of my teammates go out and perform pretty poorly during practice, while I went out and dominated the defense, showing I was ready to be out there on game day. And once again, I earned another position battle the following week. But first, we had to take down our biggest rivals on the road, and you know I wasn't getting in. We ended up beating the Auburn Tigers by 25. However, there were still 4 undefeated teams ahead of us, and I was so confused how both Michigan State and Ohio State were undefeated. But none of that matters. The only thing I was focused on was moving up to a third string receiver, and I had been trying all year to earn my place on the team and on the field. This was my last opportunity this season to really make an impression on everybody, and Bryce Young was looking my way on almost every snap, which was really nice. I continued to rack up the points near the end of the position battle, but unfortunately, I couldn't get my feet in on the second to last play, so I had one last opportunity to win it, and I was targeted, but I did make a play on the ball, so I had failed my goal. However, I was given another chance to move up the depth chart before the SEC championship, and it was not a great start. I was extremely upset at myself for dropping a touchdown on the first play, but I continued to redeem myself throughout the entire practice. Well, until I dropped another easy catch, which made Nick Saban upset, and I think he was disappointed in me because I had 2 bad drops now, but I wanted to prove to him that I was good enough to be out there on the field. I took this catch all the way to the end zone, and then holding on to this one finally got the job done for me. I had won the position battle, and I was now a third string wide receiver for Alabama. The SEC championship was a defensive battle, with it being a 3-0 game in the third quarter, but once again, I still wasn't getting into the game, and I was definitely going to enter the transfer portal at the end of the year. I had worked all season to climb up the depth chart, but I still wasn't getting any opportunities, and I know Alabama's a great team, but not playing one snap, even on the kickoff team, is crazy. Hendon Hooker led Tennessee all the way down the field at the end of the game, so they tied it up with 23 seconds left. I knew I wasn't going to get any playing time in a game this close, especially after this touchdown, but I knew I deserved to be out there helping us win this game. In the end, at 25-25, Bryce Young wasn't able to pick up the first down for us. However, we did kick the game winner from a distance, and I was an SEC champion without ever playing a snap. Ohio State's Travion Henderson won the Heisman, and my season stats were insane. We ended up missing out on the national championship game, and my name was still not on the depth chart, so I didn't care about the result of the Sugar Bowl against number 6 Oklahoma. It was another overtime game, but all I was thinking about was which school I was going to transfer to, because being a third stringer and never seeing the field wasn't worth being at Alabama. I narrowed down my transfer portal decision to 3 options, and they were the following. I could go to Michigan State and play for my high school quarterback Steve Murka. I could go to Colorado, who isn't very good, but I'm guaranteed playing time, or I could return home to Florida and stay in the SEC. Let me know where you think I should transfer, and don't forget to subscribe.